Assalamu alaikum everybody, this is Mawar Sayed and you're watching Dialogue with Emerge. आज का जो शो है it's very very special for me and for everyone जिन्होंने 95 से लेके कुछ अरसे तक FM पे English shows सुने हैं. Today's show is the trip down to memory lane for people like me and for everybody जो के English shows सुना करते थे. And as you can see, I'm sitting with somebody amazing, somebody who created amazing memories for all of us. So please welcome none other than Junaid Mumtaz. How are you, Junaid?
I'm very well, thank you. Thank you for the warm introduction. I'm very thankful that you invited me to your show, and I'm also very thankful to the love that I've got in the last few weeks. It just came as a total surprise to me, to be honest with you. I pretty much, I won't say closed that chapter of my life, but I'd slightly sort of parked that chapter of my life. And then, a random person posted a random post on Facebook, which I had no idea was posted. And then somebody liked it, and then somebody else liked it, and then somebody else commented on it. Or uske baad, my cousin saw it, and she told me, she said, this is happening. So I logged in, and obviously you needed permission to enter the group, which was it's called Varachi on Facebook. And then I eventually entered it, and then I realized that the love that I was getting and people were remembering from how they used to study for their exams while listening to me, and how they would dealt with a relationship problem, how they dealt with work problems, and that made me realize that I need to sort of thank these people, and I'm very grateful to people who have reached out to me, and also people like you who've invited me today. Thank you for your invitation.
You're very, very welcome. And since we were just talking about it also, okay, people like you and everybody who were part of FM 100 in the beginning, they created a magic. और हम सब उस spell के under आ चुके थे. Your show was kind of, it was one of a kind because एक तो वो English listeners के लिए it was a treat. तमाम लोग जो English music सुनते थे, it was probably you were the first person who started the English shows there. And फिर वो जो 10 से 12 का time था, I still remember those golden days, carefree days जब हम कॉलेज से सोने से पहले जो कानों में ईयरफोन्स लगा लिया करते थे and we used to listen to your shows. So you were part of our really really क्या कहते हैं amazing time का. You were the very important part. So I'm sure कि आपके लिए भी बहुत amazing सफर रहा होगा. Tell everybody about how you started, how you got into FM 100.
So it's a long journey, actually, but it's a very interesting story, and I don't think I've expressed this level of detail when I've been asked that question in the past.
One thing I must add here, वो जो टाइम था ना उस वक्त एक मैगजीन आया था और आपका एक इंटरव्यू आया था, I remember, and in our college and everybody was like, oh ये रहा जुनैद मुमताज, और जो whatever you shared, we just read that. I'm sure a lot of people can relate to it. And then when you disappeared, since social media इतना actively लोग use नहीं करते थे, तो lot of people lost track of you. तो बहुत कुछ जानना है, and start from the story, that interesting story कि आपने कैसे join किया. Over to you now.
Okay, thanks. So basically what happened is I used to have this friend called, well, he was a colleague actually. His name was Amir Hashmi. I don't know where he is now. The last time I saw him was at least 25, 27 years ago. So I was sitting in his car, and he put on the radio and he said, there's an FM radio in Pakistan now, and it's doing well. I was like, yeah, okay, because I'd lived in the US, so I was aware of how it all worked. And while we were driving somewhere together, me and my friend Amir Hashmi, who I haven't seen in so many years, there was not an announcement, but some sort of a promo by Asif Ghazali saying, if you're interested in doing a show with us, send us a demo. And I was like, I've done something like this in the US, so why don't I go and do something? So I went straight to Khadda Market. And then at that time, Khadda Market only had a few shops in Defense rather than the way it is now. I literally bought 2 cassette tapes. I went home and I did a mini demo, and I sent it to FM 100 to Asif. And I never heard anything from Asif for about, I would say, 7 to 8 weeks. Nothing happened, like nothing, not even an acknowledgement. Thanks for your invitation, or sorry, thanks for your email, call. There weren't emails at that time. They were, but they were very limited. There was nothing. I just forgot about it, and that was it, really. By the time I think I came to week 8, I'd sort of digested the fact that it wasn't happening, and I just forgotten about it. And then I remember it was week 9. I got a call from Asif saying, Junaid, it's Asif. I said, oh, how? And my first sort of reaction to that was, oh, I sort of sent you this demo 8 weeks ago, 9 weeks ago. And he says, yeah, I'm just calling up for that. And me being me, because I'm always looking for that opportunity to crack a joke, I said, it's taken you a while to get back to me, hasn't it? And I started laughing. And he was like a bit like, that's the kind of vibe I need for these shows. That's someone who's sort of challenging the CEO in a funny manner. And he said, I've got a show for you and I'd like you to do it. I said, oh, that's great. When is it? And I kid you not. And he said, it's tonight. And he had called me at 3:15. And I started my first show 6 hours later.
Oh, wow.
And the rest is history, really.
Yes.
And after that day that I did the show, that night after Asif called me, I believe I still hold the record for 6 years of non-stop radio without a single day off.
Wow.
Every day.
That was
Yeah.
every day 10 to
Every
12.
day. And I think that at one point for about a period of 2 years, I was doing 8 shows a week rather than 7 shows a week, because I used to do a Sunday morning show with Zishan as well. So I did that. So I didn't have a day off on radio. And this is the time, and this is really interesting. A lot of people ask me this. This is the time when Karachi was at its peak violence-wise. 20, 30 people were dying every day with sort of MQM things happening. And I would leave the studio at 12 o'clock at night. By the time I'd get home, it'd be about 1 o'clock. ईगल स्क्वाड होती थी उन दिनों में. ईगल स्क्वाड मुझे रास्ते में रोकती थी, ये गाड़ी में आपने क्या रखा हुआ है. सीडीज होती थी, 300 सीडियां, 200 सीडियां. And I used to explain to them, and then it was a hard concept, and then work the next morning as well. So it wasn't easy, but that's how it started. That was the moment when Asif called me and said, you have a show tonight. And that's how it all, and it was, I think it was 15th June, I remember. It was a hot day. And the best part was, because itni load shedding hoti thi Karachi mein, the only place where there was no load shedding was the studio. So I used to love being in the studio because it was air conditioned and it was freezing there. So in the summer, you would need a jacket. That's how cold it was. And so those 2 hours were great. And that's how it started.
Okay, brilliant. And during, actually, if you have a passion for something, तो फिर ना दिन नजर आता है ना रात, not freezing cold, neither the scorching sun. वो जो पूरा time था, since you were the pioneer, did you have any slightest bit of idea कि मैं एक history create कर रहा हूँ? Whatever I'm doing is going to remain with people for the rest of their lives. And I am sure अभी आपने notice किया होगा with the kind of comments you got after that post, after that random post. What was going on in your head while doing those shows?
I think
it was just for fun.
I think I would say I knew within the first few weeks that we were creating history because of the feedback that we were getting. And the fan mail that used to come in. This wasn't a time of emails circulating or someone pinging you and liking you on Instagram or Twitter, on Facebook. This was when people used to sit down and write letters. Dear Junaid, thank you for your show. I am a bit, and you would get thousands of letters every day. And you would then realize you're actually creating history. And that's something that I don't think anybody can ever take that away from me. There can be 5,000 DJs, radio personalities in Pakistan now, then there can be 50,000 radio stations. But that cannot be taken away from me and the team at the FM100 in the early days, because we were creating history. And I genuinely believe that. I genuinely believe that we created history. And I think if you have that vision that you are creating history, life becomes easy in reference to how you want to do stuff and the passion that you have, and all of that comes together if you believe in something. And I genuinely believe that we were creating history, and I'm very proud of that.
Yeah, and you left in 2006. Actually, you were working alongside, right? You were a banker
Yeah,
back then too.
yeah, yeah.
When you started, you were already working. That
Yeah.
must be very, very difficult. Sleeping that late, and then, banking hours, it starts at 9, and probably the day
Six.
starts earlier.
Yeah, yeah. That's a really interesting thing because reality of the situation was that the amount of money that we were making as RJ slash DJs back in the day was laughable. My salary on day one was 5,000 rupees a month. That covered
Acha.
your fuel, that covered your hours in the studio, that covered your preparation, that covered a lot of other stuff. So it was never about the money, because had it been about the money, it wasn't even balancing the fuel cost over a course of 30 days, if that makes sense. So it was more about, again, coming back to your point, that it was about us creating history, and that was driving us. In reference to the job, it was really interesting. I would finish a show at 12:30. I'd get home by 1, sleep by 1:15, up at 7, at work by 8:39, and you'd walk into work, and your boss or your senior director would say to you, "Oh, you played some really nice songs last night. I was listening to you. Oh, I really liked that song you played by Sting last night."
You have the power of changing people's taste in music. You at least affected mine. I still remember you hated Ace of Base, and being a teenager, I liked them, and then I started hating them too. You can change people's taste, and after speaking to you a few days back, and of course, when we talk with somebody who we have grown up listening to. I remembered a lot of songs you used to play. Return of the Mac used to play a lot,
Yeah.
and there were so many songs, and it did change. And probably you uplifted a lot of people's choice of music too. Um, you
मैंने
left,
मैं आपको माविद एक
yes,
मजे की बात बताऊं, पाकिस्तान में इस वक्त काफी टैलेंट है जो इस वक्त I would say are on top of their game or have been for years. But I remember when they were, I remember Strings sitting in the studio and having a chat with me before they became Strings. I remember Junoon coming to the
yeah,
studio with a little demo player. Ali Azmat when he went solo. There were so many artists who were just there and they were just breaking into the scene. And I think I don't take obviously any sort of credit for that because they had the talent, but I think I was sort of part of their success journey where you would say, right, okay, there's a new band that's coming out. Let's push them through, and you would get excited about it, and you talk to your other DJs and say, you know what, push this through. They're really nice
yeah.
songs. And that was another buzz within the job rather than just the studio. It was finding new talent, playing on sort of music that wasn't very available. So yeah, really, really good times.
So it's not only that you affect the taste of people's music, you can all the radio RJs also have this potential of making anybody a star by
Mm.
playing them over and over.
Yeah, yeah.
Then you left in 2006. What made you leave the career and even the family, I believe? Family is here in Pakistan, right?
My mother is there in Islamabad. My dad passed away, and but I think the general thing is, I left FM 100. I took a 2 year break. I think that all those shows had sort of caught up with me. I needed a break. You just needed to recharge your batteries. And then there were a few other offers bubbling around, but I think I sort of connected with City FM 89 with the sort of freedom that I was going to get in my shows. So I did a gig. I was in the launching crew of City FM 89. It was a great gig, and I had a really, really good time. Nermeen was the CEO there, and Hamid was running it with the Dawn Group, and there was some great talent coming out. There was some new music coming out. There were a lot of Desi bands who were doing English music. So City FM 89 was my next stage. And then I woke up one morning and I realized that it's better to leave at your peak, if that makes sense. I don't want to be a person who just drags it out, and then realize that you run out of battery, and then you just become a throwable gadget. I've always believed in that, but there were a few other sort of incidents that happened. For example, I think, so this is a bit strange to say, but I think um, the content of the shows was becoming very driven by what the texts were saying, what the SMS was saying. So the RJs would come on and they would only read what was happening in reference to, Shazia is saying this, Ahmed is saying this. I mean, text mila hai, to ye ho raha hai, to ye ho raha hai, ye ho raha hai. It became more about just reading out stuff rather than content, rather than talking about the artist. When was, for example, if you're playing, and I'm just going to throw a name in, if you're playing Bryan Adams, tell me where he was born in Canada and what year he was born, rather than telling me what Samia is doing in Tariq Road right now, if that makes sense. So it became more about reading text. So yeah, and I just felt a bit. I wouldn't say delusion. I just felt a bit that I needed a break, and that was it really. After I think I did my time. I did what I had to do, and I had to move on with different things. I also decided to sort of move abroad for my MBA, and that was about 14, 15 years ago, and my life changed. My circumstances changed, and incidents happened in my life which sort of took me away from that.
Right. And now I was I came to know that you are the global ambassador for Weight Watchers. How did that happen? And I saw that video, which I'm thinking of sharing in the comments later,
Go ahead.
in which you are. There was an appearance with Oprah Winfrey and other amazing names. How did
Oprah
that
Winfrey,
happen?
Oprah
Ro-
Winfrey, Robbie Williams, and Kate.
Robbie Williams, yeah, Kate Hudson, yes. What
That's a
is
really.
Weight Watchers, and how did that happen?
So basically, I became fat.
Yeah.
I became pretty big in my life for a period of about 4 to 5 years, and then I woke up one morning and I decided that I was going to lose some weight. What I didn't realize that my weight journey was being tracked by Weight Watchers through social media posts and their own platform. And then they approached me and said, you are one of our success stories of the year, and would you like to be our ambassador and do the paperwork? I said, fine. Then they said, you have to be in our adverts and all of that. And I did that for them. I did all their media and their social media and all of that. Technically, I'm still in contract with them, which means I have to stay a certain weight at all times. Um, and I'm part of their campaign. And I just help people sort of get to their desired weight goals and see if I can help in any way. Obviously, that is not a job. Again, that is a hobby where I, don't sort of make huge amounts of money or anything. It's just helping people. Um, but yeah, that's how I got involved. It was a wonderful experience to be known for that, and I think again something that I'm very proud of.
Amazing. And getting involved in such things, it's good in a way that, of course, staying healthy is, of course, it's a benefit. Also, inspiring people, seeing people change because of something that you've said. It's the feeling is amazing. So what are you doing along with it? You're not doing radio, that we know, and probably you'll do something of the sort, or you have no plans, because there's a comment that I was reading, and
Mhm.
it is written, okay, it's written, start a weekly show with Mavish.
Oh, okay, that's a good idea.
Say, okay, all right. And a lot of people are talking, there are a lot of people commenting, you're so cool, Junaid, best years. Somebody has written, what's up, Pakistan? Oh, Sadia Singh, he works in a bank. So you're working for a bank right now.
I was,
So
not now, but yeah, I do.
so many great memories with that time, miss those days. Doing a radio program can actually make one feel like a king on a hot tin roof. Okay, amazing. So you're a banker right now?
I have been in finance for the last 20 years, 22 years. I worked for Standard Chartered, then I worked for Lloyd's Commercial Banking, and then I did Metro Bank in the UK. Now I work in the corporate finance space on the merger and acquisition investment banking side. So yeah, that's what I do. That's what I've always done. That's sort of my comfort zone, really. Where are you reading all these comments, by the way?
On my phone.
Oh, okay.
Because yeah, because this Zoom is not allowing me to see this. I cannot check
Right, right.
on my laptop, so I'm checking them on the phone. You'll be able to see once the show is over.
Okay.
Junaid, since somebody has written, say, what's up, Pakistan? Can we hear that line again?
I haven't said
Try
it.
to. in many years?
So many years. It takes me back to like when I was like in my mid 20s, I think. 24-25 साल की उम्र थी जब वो कर रहा था मैं, but I don't know, I think my voice has changed. What do they want me to say?
Yes, it is going to be, it's going to take us, maybe we'll relive the memory. Uh, do that if you can. You can take a moment.
It's so weird because I haven't done it for so long. So I'm going to sort of mentally go back to 1995, 1996. And I've just walked into the studio. I'll set up the studio and I'm about to go live. So what's up, Pakistan? There you go.
That is it?
Yeah, that's it.
This is the amount of energy you could summon right now.
Like
Okay.
a lot of comments, so, which is great on your phone.
Yes. Junaid, after all these years and still people remember you, first I just feel like asking you, how did you feel after reading all those comments? Yes, ये मेरा अपना एक सवाल है कि after going through all those comments, कैसा लगा? After many years, people still remember you. They still cherish all those memories. So how, मतलब, I'm sure the feeling must have been great और अभी तक लगता होगा, लेकिन what exactly you felt? Were you expecting anything of the sort?
I wasn't, to be honest with you. And like I said earlier, when we started the show, that I just thought, that it was a chapter of my life which was sparked. And I wasn't expecting that so many years later people would remember me. And when my cousin actually told me that people are talking about you on Facebook about your show, I was like, yeah, teen char log honge, wo aapas mein baat kar rahe honge, and then, it'll just fizzle out. But then I realized there are hundreds of people. और उसकी वजह से obviously, it sounds a bit cheesy and cliche, but I am so thankful and touched because I was not expecting it, and that's why, even if it was 2 o'clock at night here or 1 o'clock at night, I made sure that I replied to every one of them. It was like any person who commented or like, I went back with a thank you because I think that's what I owed to them. Because somebody remembers you from 20 years ago by name and says, I used to listen to you when I used to do my A levels exams or something like that. You have to be humble about that and say thank you for that. And that's why I made sure I went back. So it was a very sort of a moving experience for me, and I'm very appreciative of that. And also at the same time, also makes me realize all those hours that I put in were appreciated, and I must have been half decent that they still remember me. Otherwise.
अच्छा, all those years, I'm sure तरह के crazy fan experiences भी होंगे. Share some strange, weird, stupid, some really exciting stories. कोई भी बहुत मजे की कोई चीज हुई हो that you still remember. और दो चार भी हैं तो we have time.
You had a long show. I'll give you the top 3 or 4 moments that have happened.
Yeah.
One of the biggest moments that happened was when Pervez Musharraf took over the country. I was doing a show. So the army, the local corps commander and their teams sent people to the radio station. And I was literally on air doing a show.
Yeah.
And this colonel walks in with his sort of vardi pehne hue and Junaid, Mumtaz, and he made a very official announcement. And he said, the army has taken over the country. And this is a paper slip that you have to give me a paper. You have to read this nonstop for 10 minutes. And I looked at him. I thought he was some sort of a joke because I'd been in the studio and there were
putting a prank,
where people were texting. So I was like, okay. And then the guy came in and he said, "Uske saath ek sapai bhi tha, wo bhi andar aaya." And then he said, "You have to stay here. You're not allowed to go home." So I was in
God.
Then I stayed at the radio station till about 3 o'clock in the morning, 3:30 in the morning, because that's when they let the staff go after the government had taken control of the situation. But while I was on air, I was only allowed to play sort of Milli Nagmas. And I was told कि अभी अंग्रेजी म्यूजिक बजाने की कोई जरूरत नहीं है आपको. पता नहीं कितनी दफा मैंने पाकिस्तान बनाया बजाया और
अच्छा फिर लेक्चर भी मिल रहा था throughout.
पाक फौज के गाने बजाए और
along with that paper lecture भी free में था.
Lecture, he was very nice. He was very, very professional. He didn't touch me or harm me in any way. Then he said to me, okay, you just have to stick to this. And I did. And then I went home. That
Yeah,
was a very, very memorable night on the station. उसके बाद ये
must
था
be.
कि I think once I got a call from a very, very angry fan. मतलब वो कुछ उनका बस नहीं चल रहा था कि she probably want to like kill me or something. I don't know why. And she called me because she was really funny in the end actually. She said ये मेरे बच्चे जो हैं ये आपके सिवा 24 घंटे आपकी बातें करते रहते हैं, आप उनकी जिंदगी तबाह कर दी, इनको लेक्चर दें, पढ़ाए लिखें, ये
आपने किन कामों में लगा दिया हमारे बच्चों
आप
को?
अम्मी हैं, मैं इनकी अम्मी नहीं हूँ, आप चलाएंगी नहीं, नहीं ये आपकी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी है, ये है वो है, मेरी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी नहीं है, ये बच्चे आपके हैं. So that was a memorable call. And then you had the occasional crazy fan who would call you, 10 times in a show just to hear your voice. Or
So that was the time I clearly remember. उस जमाने में crazy fans जो हैं वो लाल इंक से भी खत लिखा करते थे और उसको कहते थे मैंने अपने फोन से लिखा है. तो did you have any share of such crazy fans? There were.
I think I
क्योंकि
must have got about 20 to 30 letters, which they said they've written with their blood.
wow,
Yeah.
the
And I was
bloody
like,
letters.
okay, okay. It was a bit scary, but, thank you to them for using their blood, I guess. But yeah.
उस कुर्बानी का शुक्रिया जो आपने मेरे खत
Uh,
लिखने के लिए दी.
but आप
That's
देखिए,
amazing.
इसके अंदर मैं थोड़ी सी जो चीज जो I really want to highlight is that there was no Facebook or Instagram or Twitter or anything. So people did not, it was a very different world. So when you went on live, when you went on air, you did not have any support in reference to, oh, let me just dip into Instagram, let me just dip into,
Yeah.
you had to be switched on. And that's very important. And the second bit is there was no digital music at that time. So every time you would call up and say you want to listen to, I don't know, Mark Morrison or,
You have to buy
Aerosmith,
the CD.
there had to be a CD there, which had to be physically picked up and put into the CD
True.
player. And I was doing this myself because the station's staff had limited knowledge. They knew the top 10 songs by
Right.
Sajjad Ali and let's say Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan, but they did not know the top 10 songs by the Cardigans or by anyone else. So I had to physically, so if you called up and right now, if you called up and say, hi, Junaid, blah, blah, I'd like to listen to this song. So my hands were actually moving, picking CDs up from
Oh
here.
God.
And while having a conversation with you and opening it,
You're
and then putting the
rummaging through
CD,
this. All
yes.
right.
So I had to carry 200 CDs, 300 CDs a day, and then the way they were placed, because the songs that were requested the most were the top hit songs, and then eventually the song would die. So the top 20 songs would move to this side. So it was easier for me to use my left hand. So it was all very sort of manual. अभी तो आप फोन कर रेडियो स्टेशन पे वो डिजिटल में डालता है
They'll
ना,
just look it up and yeah.
double click it and it's on. But by that time it was all physical music, and I think I liked that. और फिर घर जाओ रात को रास्ते में ईगल स्क्वाड रोकती थी कि ये क्या आप सीढ़ियां लेके जा रहे हैं और ये कहाँ जा रहे हैं आप, कौन सा बैंड
कौन सी
बाजा,
सीरीज है? हाँ.
so yeah, that happened a lot. Yeah.
Amazing times. Junaid, your family from Pakistan wish you all the best. Rubina Raja hai koi?
My
Is she?
Hala in Islamabad. Hello. My mother is there as well.
Okay, somebody is asking, what is Oxford Bazaar?
It's a website. You should check it out. It's oxfordbazaar.com. That's all I'll say.
It's an e-commerce website?
Yeah, it's an e-commerce website with a bit of a twist, but it's very Oxfordshire focused. So yes, please have a look. It's Oxford Bazaar, BAZAAR.com. And the objective is trying to solve a problem locally. So it's a startup.
Okay, great. And we wish you all the very best for that. You were the first one to set a trend, Rubina Raja is saying. Rubina Raja, I believe, is a family member. Good to see you after so many years. So many comments. You'll be able to see them once the show ends. Junaid, anything you want to say to everybody who's watching you right now? Anything that you ये एक बात आप कहें हम सबको बहुत ज़्यादा मिस करते हैं. You miss not doing the show, and somebody else has said start a show with few exclamation marks. So what do
I
you
think
want
I'm
to
getting
say to
that feedback
everybody?
a lot, Mavish. I'm getting that feedback a lot to start a show too. And as much as I'm appreciative of the feedback and the love and the support, sitting in the UK in Oxford and doing a show in Pakistan is a bit of an administrative nightmare of
But
how to.
YouTube has made this thing easy. You can start a weekly thing on YouTube, or we can talk about it later.
Actually, what I'm going to do is I'll break the news to you, and from the feedback that I've received, 1st of February, I am launching my
YouTube channel?
podcast. And the
Good.
podcast will cover music, it will cover memories, it will cover a lot of things. So the first one is launched on the 1st of Feb. And
Okay,
that's
great.
purely, it wasn't
That
that.
is actually a breaking news for everyone. So,
Yeah.
1st of February, we'll be listening to Junaid Mumtaz. And
On a podcast. It'll
what
be
is
a
it at the
podcast,
podcast? And
which
it will
I
be
wasn't
about.
planning to do, by the way. I wasn't. There was absolutely no plans to do this, but then a lot of people told me after this whole thing that went in
We should
Pakistan.
do this.
And
Yeah.
I should, so I'm launching it on the 1st of February, and it'll be a trip down memory lane. Also, what's happening currently, a few silly things that we will do on a regular basis, um, and just add a bit of good music to it, and have a decent few hours. So that's on the 1st of February.
Hmm. Um, that is going to be the great news for everyone because somebody has written, we want him back. So I am sure that it's going to
I don't
be a
even
great
know.
news for you.
मुझे तो पता भी नहीं है इस वक्त कि कराची में कौन कौन से स्टेशन हैं, क्या रैंकिंग्स हैं, कौन क्या कर रहा है, कौन आप में भी मुझे बता सकती हैं. Maybe I can start a dialogue with somebody to do a remote show, or do something with a local radio station, and come up with it. I don't know what the landscape is in Pakistan
I
with
think
the
doing something on the YouTube is much better idea because then you will not be limited to one country, everybody from around the world. Because the fans, the people who used to listen to your shows, now they are scattered around the globe. Thank you so much, Junaid, for taking out time from your busy schedule. We wish you all the very best for whatever you're doing, Weight Watchers, Oxford Bazaar, your banking career, whatever you're doing. It's so amazing to hear
podcast.
you. Yes, and the
Pod,
podcast. Yes, and the podcast.
yeah,
Wish you
yeah.
all the very best for whatever you're doing.
Thank you.
And I'm sure कि आज का जो शो है वो बहुत सारे सवालों का जवाब भी होगा for everybody who was wondering. You left everybody wondering where did Junaid disappear. So thank you for this appearance.
Thank you for your
Or
time.
inshallah, we'll see you again doing something great. Or stay tuned, everybody, for the next weekend's guest. We have somebody quite amazing with a brilliant topic, which I'll share with you, or poster share karungi probably on Wednesday. So stay tuned and keep watching Dialogue. Stay tuned for Dialogue with Emerge. And Junaid, see you probably soon with some topic on
Absolutely,
Dialogue.
absolutely. Thank you, thank you. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, Allah Hafiz, everybody.
Perfect. Take care. Bye.